Hello everyone, my name is Jake. I'm a current student at Stanford University, class of 2025. In today's lesson, I'll be covering Stanford's supplemental essays, focusing mainly on the 50 words or less section. In my opinion, these are some of the hardest questions to answer, just because you're forced to really consolidate your thoughts into just a couple of sentences. However, they're also very beneficial because Stanford offers you so many opportunities to really describe who you are and show your personality throughout your essays. So for anyone looking to go to Stanford and apply there, welcome, and let's get started. All right, so before we look at a couple responses, just a couple tips for all of these questions. First tip is to not start off by keeping yourself under 50 words. I would write out 75, 100 words, however many it takes you to actually complete your thought, right beyond the word limit. Once you get your thought on paper, once you get the idea across, begin shaving away unnecessary words, unnecessary sentences, just to get yourself within that 50-word limit. It makes your responses seem much more natural, as well as makes it easier on you to actually get your proper point across, opposed to just being limited to under 50 words and struggling to find what to say and what to put on the paper. So tip number 2 is don't just answer the questions they're asking you flat forward. These questions exist so they can see your creativity and ability to really think outside of a small constraint, which is those 50 words. And remember that the person reading your application is going through thousands of applications, and your 50 words are expected to pop out and be memorable to them. So please focus on being creative, being different, and not just answering the question exactly how it's worded. You want yours to be different than the other thousands of applications that the person's flipping through. And third and final tip is to make sure to vary your responses for each question. If one question you already highlight how you are, let's say, a varsity captain for a sport, next questions don't focus on that sport as much, or don't focus on being a captain. Try to highlight different aspects of your life. The reason there are so many of them is Stanford wants to see yourself as a whole, and if you focus on only a couple aspects of your life, you're really not taking advantage of that opportunity to highlight just how many aspects you have and just who you are as a person. So make sure to vary your responses and choose a different subject for each question that they ask you. And let's get started with looking at some responses. So first question we're going to cover is, what is the most significant challenge that society faces today? Now, when I read this question at first, immediately I knew I wanted to approach it with my passion for social justice, and that was how I wanted to answer the question. When I started writing, I'd say I was 150 words, possibly. I mean, I blew up the word limit. Okay, around shaving away the sentences I didn't need, the words I didn't need at all, I was able to put my point into just 50 words, and So my final response just read, labels simplify life, but can be harmful. American, immigrant, homosexual, African American, liberal, conservative. These labels separate us instead of focusing on the common ground of our humanity. With far too little respect for human life, artificial titles cause conflict, death, sadness, and sorrow around our nation and the world. All right, so first impression here. Okay, I didn't choose to be sarcastic, funny for this answer. Because this question really directed itself towards my passion for social justice, I decided to take a straightforward approach, really answer it seriously, try to portray exactly what they're asking, and really answer the question in a exact sense. Let me break it down for you. First sentence, just labels simplify life, but can be harmful. 7-word intro. Keep it nice and short. Okay, originally I wrote probably 20, 30 words because I felt like I had to get it rolling. But remember, you have only 50 words here. Okay, introduce your subject quickly. It doesn't need to sound perfect. They don't expect it to sound perfect. So write out your idea and find the shortest and quickest way to really introduce your subject. Next sentence reads American, homosexual, African American, liberal, conservatives. These labels separate us instead of focusing on the common ground of our humanity. So really this is the meat and potatoes of my answer. This is what I wanted to portray through everything. This is what I wrote out the entire time, found this key point, and decided that I would expand on this one key point. The reason actually I used so many labels, which at first I thought would take up too many words that were unnecessary, However, since my point is that labels are far too common nowadays, and that labels get in the way of actual points, I figured it was simply mirroring my message by just listing them out. And so it was a small little technique I did just to make my writing feel a little more at one deeper level. And so feel free to play around with your writing in that sense, where you have reasonings behind why you write what you write. However, it is more difficult with these shorter questions. So on the serious questions, I would highly encourage trying to use literary techniques or any other ways to just make your answer a little stronger. And then the conclusion reads, with far too little respect for human life, artificial titles cause conflict, death, sadness, and sorrow around our nation and the world. And this is just a quick answer to the question, ties up everything real nicely. This was kind of just like a summary of my entire points after I had written out my entire 150 words and shaved everything down. For the conclusion, I would highly recommend focusing on this very last. Get all the rest of the points you want across, and once you do, use up the rest of the words as nicely as you can. Just tie a little bow on your answer. Don't stress too much about it, though. The second question I will cover, which is actually one of my favorites, is which 5 words best describe you? This question, if done wrong, can be the absolute biggest waste of an answer. Okay, I guarantee you the reader has seen determined, honest, persevering, all of these generic words. Okay, this is your place to be as creative as possible. Think outside of these 5 words. Okay, they are giving you these 5 words to see what you can do with it. And so my advice here is have fun, go nuts, and try to do something that makes your reader remember those 5 words. And for myself, when I answered this question, I assumed the reader would be getting at least some list of, generic questions or generic answers, generic words, honest or, hardworking, all of these, descriptors for good students. And so I decided to kind of be a little self-aware and twist it. My answer was high achieving, hardworking, rule-stretching, over-hyphenating, visionary. So I approached it in the sense that I just listed out 5 describing words, but I still wrote 9 words, was aware of the rule-stretching and obnoxiousness it was, and was just kind of my way of showing that, I wanted to do something different for the question, which I'm not saying my answer is the best answer at all. I've seen plenty of good ones, but it's just my way of thinking outside of the box. And so I encourage you guys to really find your own approach and run with it that way. At the opening of our school year, Stanford President MTL actually said that one of his favorite answers was the human incarnation of Olaf. Again, very fun and creative. And this stood out enough for the president of the entire school to hear about it and remember it and share it with everyone. So again, this question, if done right, can take you a long way. And so focus on this answer and really have fun with it. Okay, this is my favorite question to answer, and I promise you that if you have fun with it, if you do something different, it will help you on your application and it will help you stand out to your reader. One more question I want to quickly cover, and that is, what historical moment or event do you wish you could have witnessed? Which again is a 50-word limit. When I approached this question myself, I was a little nervous just because I'm not really a history buff. I don't know too many moments in history that obviously aren't very common, and so I was worried about blending in on this question and not being able to provide the knowledge that someone else would of a cool moment in history. So for anyone like me in this situation, if you know history, this is your time to shine. This is your time to show the reader that this is what you're passionate about, and I would highly encourage you to do that. If you don't know what to answer here, you're able to twist this question as well. This was another one I just took sarcastically. I was able to be fun and a little creative. And so my answer was, I would like to witness the first person to discover milk. Who was the first man or woman to consider consuming another animal's milk? Not only that, how did people respond? Did the general population really trust a person who just drank the naturally produced substance of an animal? And that was my question. That was my response. Again, it was not serious. I didn't know where else to go with it. However, I did know I can twist something around, be able to make it my own, and so I decided to do that with this question. So I just highlighted 3 of the responses on Stanford's essay. 3 different types of responses here. A couple things I want to add is that none of the questions should be answered the same, and none of the questions have one right answer. These are all ways for you to show who you are. If you're a very serious person, you might want to take a serious approach to every single question. If you're a goofy person, you might want to take more creative, more funny approaches. It's all entirely up to you. This is the area of the application to make your own. This is the area of the application to really show who you are on a deeper scale than just academics. And this is a chance, really your only chance for the reader to know who you are. So take advantage of these questions. Don't leave them to waste, and have fun with them. I hope you all enjoyed this lesson, and see you guys next time.